Welcome back to My Father Before Me, a regular segment where we bring together nerds from different generations to appreciate and discuss the films that shaped our culture and made us who we are today. I'm Brennan Sem for the New Wave Nerds. Joining me as usual is the, I tried to think of a synonym on the fly for, what was it again?
Perennial.
I kept wanting to say eponymous, but that was definitely wrong. Anyways, my dad, Tory Sem, how are you today?
I'm doing good. I'm not sure if I'm eponymous, but I'm perennial.
Well, eponymous does work because you're the father who was before me.
Well, there you go.
So I definitely planned that. Yeah.
All the words work.
yeah, I'm smart. Anyways, what are we going to be discussing today?
Okay, well, today we're going to be talking about a comic book character who came from his planet to save ours.
Yes.
That's right. It's a bird. No, it's a plane. No, it's a duck.
It's a duck.
Today we're going to talk about Howard the Duck.
The marvelous mallard.
Yes. Howard the Duck, a classic from 1986, a Lucasfilm classic, or at least a George Lucas. I don't know if it's under the Lucasfilm umbrella. I guess I didn't.
That's a good point. I don't think so, but I think, yeah, executive produced.
I noticed on one of the trivias that Lucasfilm was having some trouble, or they just built the Skywalker Ranch or whatever it was. Something he had done put him in some slight financial trouble, and he was planning on this movie to pay for it, which it did.
Oh, really? I can't imagine why.
Yes, it did not pay for it, but he did notice, or it got the attention of Steve Jobs, who
really
bought out his animation studio, which then became Pixar. So there you go. Because George Lucas needed the money, Howard the Duck gave us Pixar.
Some of the best animated movies of all time. I just want to point out on IMDb, it does say production companies Universal and Lucasfilm.
Well, there you go.
But I don't remember the title card.
I don't remember it either. Maybe they don't want to claim it.
They took it out. Oh, man. Well, you know, Lucas does like to revise his films like 20, 30 years in the future. So maybe...
we could see a resurgence. I know it said that... the appearance of Howard the Duck in that end credit scene, spoiler alert, for Guardians of the Galaxy was it, what did it say, 28 years and 1 day after the release of Howard the Duck or something like that? Whatever, whenever release dates were, it was almost an anniversary. So I thought that was kind of fun.
If they do, and they would never do this in the way that I imagine it, but if they were to bring Howard the Duck into the MCU, I want them to make it like as serious as possible. Like ignore the fact, act like it's just completely normal that he's a duck and do like a hard-nosed noir detective thriller.
Well, they tried to do, they kind of had that little, I think they had a little saxophone going at one point.
Yes.
But it is interesting when you say that though, because Howard the Duck, one of the credited writers was Steve Gerber. He's a comic creator. He's the guy who created him. And of course, he's got all kinds of listings for characters created by, and stuff. But he was also on Man-Thing. And Howard the Duck was introduced as a Man-Thing character.
That makes so little sense.
I know. So I'm excited to see, if we bring in Man-Thing a little bit more with the Werewolf by Night or something.
Oh, yes.
Maybe we can get our official Howard the Duck connection.
But he's going to be the main character of the Midnight Suns. There we go.
Because it was, he appeared in a Man-Thing, like number 11 or something like that it was, in 73. So he's been around a while.
Oh, wow. He looks absolutely amazing here in this picture.
That's right. So he's older than I am, but he's more perennial, I guess.
Clam up, bud. That's such a good line.
It was written, I know they said the comics were more of a adult-oriented humor.
Yes.
And that sort of thing, which they had to tone down for the show, for the movie to make it, well, as you might have seen, it was rated PG.
Yeah, I was a little curious about that, like 5 or 6 minutes into the movie. Right. I got a little like, what? What kind of parents would allow their young children?
When it was aired on TV, if you're talking about the duck in the
That's exactly what I was thinking.
The duck in the tub in the TV version, when they put it out on TV, they made fake bubbles to cover some things.
Well, how polite of them.
That's right.
Yeah, it was weird because they did the standard parental guidance things, and it was like nudity, and I was like, what? Where? And then we got a duck
nudity. Yes. Well, then they go into I guess I was younger in the 80s, and I don't remember the sex spas or anything like that, but he gets a job at a place that yeah, it definitely wasn't just a normal spa. So
Oh
I'm
no.
curious.
Yeah. So what time period does this movie take place in? Oh no, it would take place in the 80s, just based off the music.
Definitely. And, I think they said that Lea Thompson, her character, they tried to pattern it after the punk ladies, the Cyndi Lauper, and stuff like that. So, I mean, they were trying to.
I was definitely getting some heart vibes.
It was probably, it was supposed to be of the time the movie was shot.
Yeah. Which, shout out to Lea Thompson, because she shredded it up. She did great.
She did. And I think it said in the trivia that there was her voice singing. So I don't know. She was a little nervous about it, I guess, or maybe she didn't feel that they should have used her voice. But
no, I thought it worked.
I thought
it was good.
Fine,
Yeah, no, literally when it was happening, I was like, is this hard? And then I was like, oh no, that's the main lady.
Well, she was on her Back to the Future high, because 85 was Back to the Future.
Oh, wow.
Where she was Marty's mom. And yeah, so.
That's a swift downhill turn from Howard the Duck to Back to the Future.
Definitely.
Oh, man. So this movie was, great insofar as it was absolutely preposterous by every definition of the word.
Definitely was. It felt like it was a vehicle for, and I don't know how much George had in it, but you can definitely see it's the George Lucas humor. I feel, the whole thing feels like a Jar Jar.
A little
the
bit.
Jar Jar humor.
I definitely see that.
Yeah, I don't know where they were going with it. I mean, they didn't focus on the fact that he's a comic book character or anything like that.
Yeah.
So they weren't looking at it as that, I guess, necessarily. I don't know. It's just very interesting way of introducing this character.
Yeah, it is weird. The only sort of self-aware comics moment was really, well, I mean, you mentioned it in the beginning, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's a duck, and it's clearly ripping off Superman, but other than that, there's really not much.
No, not a lot to it from that aspect. I mean, obviously they gave him Quack Fu, so I mean he's I'm sure that's one of his powers if we go into some sort of a Marvel book. It definitely shows he knows Quack Fu.
Oh yeah, he's a certified master.
Well, but see, you know what? They built that up because when you're walking around his apartment at the beginning, there's an actual picture of him, so he knows Quack Fu. They didn't just pull it out. So
the set design on his apartment was peak. I wish we could have seen more in the duck planet for his apartment.
All the movie posters that were a play on things. Of course, they got. What was it, I don't think Breeders of the Lost Stork or something like that. Or I can't remember what that poster was. Of course, there's your Lucas reference there. There it is.
Yeah, here we go.
Breeders of the.
Oh, I'm hitting the wrong buttons. Breeders of the Lost Stork.
Breeders of the Lost Stork. Yeah. So. And I do know that on the trivia it says that in that diner scene there were people wearing Star Wars and Indiana Jones T-shirts.
Oh, really?
They definitely were trying to make that connection. At least when they made the movie, it wanted to be a Lucas production.
Yeah. I don't know. So how quickly after this do you think George Lucas distanced himself from the production? Well, how long did he wait?
I don't know. See, George is a weird dude. I think that he actually probably enjoyed it. Yeah. I don't know. All this stuff and then the, the slight bestiality references and stuff. I get the impression and
it's a little more than slight.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's George's kind of humor.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we think back to, I remember an interview or a making of featurette, I think, for Clone Wars. The second prequel movie.
Mm-hmm.
Who's Padme? I can't think.
Oh, is it Natalie Portman?
Natalie Portman, yeah. She said something about George. George designed all her dresses, including the one that looks like a BDSM outfit.
Oh.
So I feel like there may be a little something there.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely some weird stuff going on because to retcon the two people that kissed into being brothers and sisters, already kind of weird.
I always ran with that one.
And then it's always struck me as a little weird to have Anakin and Padme, and she doesn't change at all.
No,
but it's been 10 years maybe.
Well, girls develop quicker, so they get to their adult personage.
Yeah,
very early, and then the boys catch up. It's middle school all over again.
Was she? this is gonna derail a Star Wars conversation. There was a movie with Natalie Portman, and I can't remember which it is now, but she was like 16 or something on set. I don't think it was for Star Wars, but
Well, it's not Black Swan. That was afterwards, right? I mean, she was on The Professional.
Yeah,
where
Leon.
She's a little kid that is protected by or a hitman or something like that. I can't.
Yeah, no, that's what it was. But I think if I remember correctly, I don't know, not important. In any case, I still haven't seen that one, so I'm not going to mention it.
Okay.
I've heard it's good, but I don't know.
I feel like I remember some of it. Yes.
I'm not super into Natalie Portman.
No.
Like, she's all right, but
She did her job.
she was good as Padme
Yeah.
in Revenge of the Sith when they're on Mustafar. Great.
Nailed it.
Anyways, back to Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck. Let's get off George.
So it was really weird for like the first, I don't know how long it is, like a couple minutes or whatever, to be set in this duck world, but like to not really necessarily see anything duck-like, and then to just have him be pulled into the human world.
Yeah, I mean, as the camera's panning around, you see family photos of, duck people,
Sure.
stuff like that. And of course, you see all the side stuff. And I know that they said that they tried to keep it a secret what he looked like, so it'd be a big reveal.
Yeah.
People who go to the movie, I think even in like trailers, stuff like that, they didn't necessarily, at least before the movie release, they didn't want to show him very much.
That's fair.
The suit looked good.
It did.
I mean, I think they spent like $2 million on it or something like that. They said,
Really?
yeah, I think the budget for this was $37 million. And normally we talk about budgets for movies and we're saying most of it goes to the actor. I think a lot of it went to the suit for this thing.
Well, you say that, but there's like 18 people credited as Howard the Duck.
Oh, yes, it is. I think it went through a few iterations of people. And then what they say, at one point it was just going to be a child actor in there, but then that didn't work out. So they got, we go back to our tradition of little people actors. And the actor there that is most credited for it is that Ed Gale. And he, we don't know him much from anything else except that he was Chucky.
Oh.
And he was also in Spaceballs. He was one of the Dink Dink guys. So.
Yes. Oh man, it's about time to rewatch that movie.
It's a classic, and stuff. I mean, yeah, we do have another actor that they had listed as Howard the Duck was Tim Rose.
Okay,
and
that's
his IMDb picture.
Oh, that
is Akbar.
That would be why it's familiar.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think he reading through the credits and stuff. I think he's more of like a puppeteer than the guy in the suit.
Interesting.
So because he was Akbar. You noticed he was Dark Crystal. He was one of the guys in the Dark Crystal, which we had a discussion there about people in suits, but they're also puppeteers, and stuff. And he's also credited as a movie that we may get to at some point called Return to Oz, and he's like a little not Ed Gale, Tim Rose, and he's a robot looking dude, kind of a go back up there. You saw him, a tin man replacement. That guy right there.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So there was a sequel to The Wizard of Oz that got made, and he's a little robot dude in that. So again, like I said, I think he must be more of a puppeteer kind of guy or something, and that's why he's getting credited for all these spots. But
so I guess I wonder, like what caused, like, why did they need so many people? Because it didn't look like there was a lot of like puppetry or anything. It mostly just looked like the guy in the suit.
I think there's a lot that goes into that, the Bill articulating and his eyelids and stuff. It's surprising when you watch some of those behind the scenes how many wires and stuff go into just making somebody smile, and stuff.
That's a good point.
It's difficult to do that. So I think what happens is, and you'll notice there's a few shots where he's definitely standing up against a wall, just so that they could control him with a full body shot easier, that kind of thing. So
I will say though, all things considered, the duck suit was really good.
It worked.
Like it
definitely worked. I mean, there were even times, a lot of times you'll see movies like this back in those times, and sure whenever he's talking, you'll get a close-up shot, and that's obviously where they've got a head on a stick with all the animatronics.
Sure.
And anytime you're walking, it's just a guy in a suit, and he's always looking the other way, so you don't see that his face isn't moving.
Yeah.
But there were times where he was walking and talking at the same time, so there's obviously some nice puppeteering and articulation that went into it.
Yeah. Well, they on the the articulation, they did a good job of like conveying the emotion through his face and stuff. So I was watching this, and soon after he meets Lea Thompson, it starts to rain and whatever, and he like starts to walk out in the rain, but I don't know why I noticed this. Like, the rain is never dropping on him. Like, it's like he's under a thing. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe they can't get the suit wet. That makes a lot of sense.
Right.
They did a good job of hiding this. For some reason, I just picked up on it. But then a little later on, he's thrown in a pool.
They didn't care then. Well, that's why it cost so much, because they had the wetsuit and the not-so-wetsuit, right? The wetsuit, they could just pop up and didn't have to do much. Yeah, I'm not sure on that.
Yeah.
It is interesting, we talk about the articulation in the trivia. And, there's always a little bit of wondering about this, but it said that originally it was going to be Robin Williams doing the voice.
Interesting.
But Robin Williams, you know how he is such a, I don't know, he just wings it, right?
Yeah.
So he had a very difficult time syncing up with the mouth movements. He would say whatever he wanted.
Oh, sure.
He would do great in that. Obviously, we're talking, Aladdin. He was awful. He made the cartoon, the animated Aladdin, being the voice of the genie and stuff. And you could definitely see where that would have been a good thing. But like I said, you just couldn't control him. It's thing couldn't keep him going. So
yeah, no, definitely somebody like that. Yeah, man, he would have been really. Actually, I don't know if I would have liked him more than who we got for this.
He talks very fast.
Yeah.
And I think you would really notice the duckbill not moving that fast.
Yeah.
Or it would be difficult to sync up, because the joy of Robin Williams is how quick he delivers and his timing and that sort of thing. And I think that'd be tough to do with an animatronic duck.
Yeah. Plus, Aladdin aside, which is obviously great, I feel like he's just such a physical, comedic character. Like, to put him in a voiceover role for the duck, it would just feel weird. Like, you wouldn't be getting the full picture, because you'd be knowing it's Robin Williams.
That's the thing. I think with Aladdin, my assumption is that they had him doing the lines before they did any animation, just so that they could just animate around whatever he said.
Yeah. Just talk, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who does the voice for Howard the Duck in this? Which one is it, I guess?
Oh, there was and I didn't recognize, Chip Zien or something is the gentleman who's credited as the voice. And I can't say, he's looks like he's been an actual actor, because I've seen that movie Snake Eyes that he's in there and stuff. And but it's definitely it's got that voice, that New York kind of thing to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he pulls it off really well. The delivery on some, obviously, there's some really bad lines, but the delivery on some of these lines is just so perfect. Like, there's one scene where it's just after they first meet the scientist, whatever his name is.
Tim Robbins.
Yeah, Tim Robbins. And they're on the steps, and he walks out, and the lady shrieks, and he just goes, "Aha! Typical hairless ape."
Yep. That was fun when he realized the evolutionary track there. Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah. Well, and that little image I pulled up of his first appearance, he says the hairless ape thing in that too. Yep. So they pulled that from the comics, which is fun.
It is fun to think about, what you'd do if you thought about that. Somebody coming from gorillas.
Yeah.
It's a thing. But yeah, there is some great timing. And of course, I think the joy of this movie, and like you mentioned, some of the one-lines are bad, but they're fun. They're bad fun. Quack Fu, and I thought the diner scene, and I couldn't even figure out who the waitress was, but she was delivering some good lines. Where Jeffrey Jones, we hadn't talked about him yet, but he's like, the end of the world is the end, or this will cause the end of the world, and she says, "We haven't even tried the chili yet." Yeah. Just some good lines there. I thought it worked out pretty good.
Yeah, she's really good, because, there's a line later in that scene where, I don't know, he says something, and she's like, "Oh, no, we get fights in here all the time."
Yeah.
Like, they're killing this duck. They're about to chop his head off. And she's like, "Nah, it's all right."
That was pretty good. I thought that, so, that kind of stuff, I think that's what makes it kind of a cult classic.
Yeah.
People like, and stuff.
Jorley McLean,
Oh, okay.
allegedly.
I couldn't even find her listed. I just must not have been looking right.
Yeah, I guess I don't know if this is her. She's just listed as waitress, but I think there's only the one waitress.
That's the only. I mean, that's probably the only one with speaking lines. So.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that she was there was one line of hers that I really didn't like though. I don't remember what it was. Oh no, I do. It's when somebody was being mean to her. It was when Howard was being mean to her, and she goes, "You know what? Hate is like a karmic boomerang," or something like that. I was like, that was just really bad.
She's right. That was one she ad-libbed. They just left it in.
Yeah, but no, I really liked that. That scene was fun.
It was, and that's what I said. It's kind of it's obviously they thought they were doing a comedy, or and that kind of thing. But it reminds me of some of those comedies back then. I think of European Vacation, and I don't know if you see. I haven't made you watch that one yet, but it's always the whole movie is just kind of a comedy until there's some little adventure piece at the end that's supposed to tie the whole movie together, or something, or give you something to do at the end, or give the movie a plot.
Yeah,
and it feels like that's what this is too.
Yeah,
I mean, the evil overlord, is actually based off. I mean, in the introduction to Howard the Duck, that's why he's there, is because he's driven the world to fight this evil overlord. I think. What it say? His name is Thog, the Never Spawn Overmaster of Somnus.
What a great name!
Yeah. So I mean, that was what he was brought to do in the comics too. But it's like, what are we gonna do? We just got to throw something in.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, that whole thing was just preposterous. Like, it was the whole movie was so like very slapstick, I guess, in the comedy. Having this dark overlord sort of fit, but I just did not. I didn't enjoy it.
And he's trying to be straight man with everybody, but then he had some goofy lines too.
Yeah.
Where there was it was like he was trying to be a little sarcastic there in some points. I don't know. It was kind of fun, but like I said, everything just felt like a vehicle for a one line.
Yeah.
Just to do something like that. And of course, the best part, or one of the best scenes that you got to have, is Howard chasing all the duck hunters off their boats. He's flying over, and stuff. But I don't know. I mean, would they really be hiding under the stairs, talking about how the cops are talking about how dangerous it is, and then it's shoot to kill? It's like, no, cops don't do that.
Yeah, it was a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, and then like 8 cops walk right past. Like, not seeing Howard, I get, because he's small and tiny, but she's wearing like relatively bright clothes against this really dark
80s
wall.
Yes, it's definitely 80s clothes. Yes.
Yeah, it was crazy. I did like what did you say, Jeffrey Jones as Dr. Jennings though.
Well, and he was, I think, in the same year, he's the president on Ferris Bueller, or not president, the principal on Ferris Bueller's.
That was the same year.
Yeah, I think it came out the same year. If I'm remembering, it was right around the same time. Of course, that's where we.
Same year.
86, yeah, and then he's in Beetlejuice, which of course now we've got the sequel to Beetlejuice coming out, so
which I heard is a little lackluster, which you could assume from a sequel 30 years later.
I imagine we're gonna check it out, but I'm not expecting a whole lot out of it. But
Michael, it's Michael Keaton, right?
Yeah,
I said that, and then I started to think of Kiefer Sutherland for a second, which is a very different guy.
That would have been different.
Man, he must be hurt for some money to come back for
either that, or he's one of them guys that I'm just going to go back and do whatever's fun, and walking around like this dirty old man is fun, I guess. So.
Howard the Duck came out like 2 months after Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Well, there you go.
So
Jeffrey Jones, it was a real Jeffrey Jones-assance.
He was putting in the work.
Which I could be wrong, but I feel like he's had some personal troubles that have maybe got him out of the limelight a little bit.
Oh.
There may be some things where we're not supposed to like him anymore. I don't know.
Oh.
But I could be wrong on that one. But,
well, he's a great principal.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
He was a good principal, yes. So.
Yeah. What were we just talking about? I was going to say something about Michael Keaton. Oh yeah, I just watched a movie on HBO. It's called Knox Goes Away.
Oh, I've
And
seen that advertised. Yeah.
It's weird, but pretty good. You know, he's like a hitman who slowly develops like a unique form of dementia or Alzheimer's or something, and his son. I probably should say that. This is a spoiler.
I'll have to check that out.
Basically, he's got to go through and try and enact this plan, this crazy scheme he's got before his mind completely goes away. It was a pretty interesting vehicle, a plot device.
I have heard that it was decent, so I'm gonna have to check it out.
Yeah. But Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck. Interestingly, you know, you got the IMDb up, and they're showing a clip from Red Sonja. Howard the Duck is not the first Marvel comic movie, because Red Sonja came out in '85, and that is based off of Marvel Comics' Red Sonja, not Robert E. Howard's Red Sonja.
Oh.
So there you go. Red Sonja beat Howard the Duck in the Marvel movies.
If you had to rank them, which would you say is better?
I don't even remember Red Sonja, so I mean, maybe I definitely remember Howard the Duck, but you know, so I guess that's what I have to decide.
Who is Brigitte Nielsen?
Yes,
That's her name.
Yep. Stallone's ex, right? Because she was in Rocky IV.
Oh yes,
as Drago's wife.
Yeah. What was her name in that? Not important. Ludmilla Drago. There we go.
Mrs. Drago. Yes.
Yeah. Did they? When we talked about Conan, did she have a thing with Arnold, or was that somebody else?
I don't think it was her, because, like I say, I think she's always been associated as Stallone. I could be wrong on that now, but I don't know.
I feel like, man, when did we talk about Conan? That was like forever ago.
Pull that one back up.
yeah. Well, we still have to do the Destroyer.
Destroyer.
Yes.
And we'll do Red Sonja one of these days. But
sure. Yeah, I'm real excited for that one.
I bet you are. Well, then we have Oscar winner. Speaking of Howard the Duck, we have Oscar winner Tim Robbins.
Yes. I was watching this and I was like, God, why does this guy look so familiar? If I didn't look up his filmography, I never would have guessed.
Well, you know, of course, Shawshank.
Yes.
That's where I go right off the bat. But I do remember that he was in Anchorman. He was the public television news anchor.
Oh, really?
Walked up smoking their pipes in big news anchor fights, you know, and stuff.
That's hilarious.
And then he was the dad in Zathura. I don't know if you remember Zathura.
Yeah, with the guy from Hunger Games.
Yep.
Oh,
PETA.
Yeah.
But I can't think of his name.
Oh, geez.
Another movie that I remember I watched with
Josh
Tim Robbins
Hutcherson.
a lot. Josh Hutcherson, that's right. Another movie that I watched with Tim Robbins a lot, and I think it was a made-for-HBO movie. That's why I remember it. It's called The Hudsucker Proxy.
Oh, that sounds like a great name.
It's kind of fun. It's a corporate greed thing or whatever, where he's just a nobody, and they make him president of the company because the previous president of the company jumped off the roof and killed himself, you know. And
Oh.
Yeah, it's a very dark humor kind of thing, but he invents the hula hoop or something. I don't think it's based on fact, but it's actually pretty fun. I would recommend a view. I mean, it's been a long time since I watched it, but maybe we'll have to pull this one out.
This is such a weird like cast and crew. Directed and written by the Coen brothers.
Okay, well, that explains a lot. I didn't even know that. So there you go.
And Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
And then it's got Paul Newman in it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes, it does.
What a weird movie.
We'll definitely have to pull that one up sometime. I think it's an interesting movie. I don't know if it's much. There's much to make fun of or anything like that, but
Oh, I'm sure we'll find a way.
And then there's another movie I was going to mention, Tim Robbins in, called Arlington Road. Now, this guy, you know, obviously has done all kinds of stuff. This one was one with another reference for us, Tron.
Jeff Bridges?
Jeff Bridges, yes. And he, so Jeff Bridges is he's like an instructor whose wife passed due to some kind of government thing. I can't remember what it was.
Oh.
And Tim Robbins is kind of and his wife are kind of they're terrorists.
Oh.
And
he looks like a terrorist.
Yeah, he definitely pulls it off in this movie, and they eventually pull off this bombing plot or something, and they pin it on the instructor. It's an excellent movie. You should check it out sometime. I remember it being fun. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it sounds interesting. I'll, what a weird sort of array of movies in this guy's filmography.
Yeah, he's done all kinds of stuff, and and then of course Bull Durham is a classic as well.
Oh, baseball movie, I suppose.
Yeah, with the baseball man from Field of Dreams, and then they're having a bad name day.
I've never seen Field of Dreams. Kevin Costner?
Kevin Costner, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I should have said Superman's dad, but
oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, we've discussed that before.
Or wasn't he Robin Hood in something?
He was Robin Hood in the movie Robin Hood.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Is that the one that was really bad, or was that a different one?
Bad? I don't know. It had Morgan Freeman. Anything with Morgan Freeman ain't bad. So unless you're talking about chain reaction, maybe there's some bad Morgan Freeman stuff too. I don't know.
Morgan Freeman, man, what a voice. That's gonna be sad when he goes. What are we gonna do?
Well, AI will replace all his voices.
Yeah, he'll be good. He's also in Twister. Tim Robbins, that is, not Morgan Freeman.
Oh, that is not the Twister that we're thinking.
Oh, really? I was gonna say I didn't remember that.
Oh, that looks like I don't know what that one is. That's interesting.
It kind of looks. Oh, watch out! There's a tornado alert.
It's a weird link there. I don't know. Was there a different Twister at some point? Man, I don't know about that one.
Oh, it's got Harry Dean Stanton.
There we go.
Oh, okay, we have to watch
Glover?
it. Yeah.
I'm not sure. This must be one of those off Twister, the fake Twister or something. I don't know.
Oh man, wow! This looks amazing.
And it's got a sequel.
I'm sure it's incredible. Then, only good movies get sequels. I can't believe
or cheap ones, yes.
Yeah. I can't believe Shawshank is in like the top 4 known for this guy.
He should definitely be known for that.
How is he more known for Howard the Duck than Shawshank? Shawshank is like one of the best movies of all time.
I mean, Mystic River, I think he won. That's the one he won supporting actor or something in. But yeah, you're right. I don't know if Howard the Duck should come above Shawshank or not.
Definitely different calibers of movie here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this was directed by Clint Eastwood.
Oh, yeah, it's a classic.
Wow.
I'm surprised it wasn't on. It might have been on your AFI list. I don't know. I think that one's been around. Well, maybe it's too recent. I don't know.
It could have been. I don't really remember. Clint Eastwood has done a lot of good movies, allegedly. I haven't seen many, so I have to put allegedly at the end. So, as far as Howard the Duck goes...
Speaking of Howard
I was going to start talking about the Dark Overlord at the end here. The like stop motion thing, I guess, would you call it animation?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, stop motion animation, of course. That was stupid. That actually looked pretty good. Like, obviously,
I thought it was worth it. I thought, yeah, that one I was surprised. Even the drawn animation wasn't that terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we're watching something from the 80s.
Sure. Yeah, you can tell it's spliced in.
But even then it actually didn't look too bad. But the stop motion, I thought, I mean, obviously, so what are we at? Jurassic Park was 80 or 93, I think. So we're still quite a few ways away from Jurassic Park, where they still thought originally they were going to have to do excuse me, the dinosaurs as stop motion. So
there's only one.
Yeah,
Jurassic. Sorry. I was like, why is this not coming up?
Well, that's the alternative again. So I mean, yeah. So 93, they still thought they were going to have to do stop motion for Jurassic Park. So I mean, we're still a few years away from that, but I thought it looked pretty decent.
It did, especially in the first part when it's we see it from the front and it's like smashing stuff. I thought that looked especially good. When we cut to it from an angle, it was a little more obvious. It was a little less good, but I still, I like the way it looked. It definitely felt of the time.
I can only assume it's ILM, even though maybe ILM wasn't. Well, ILM probably would have been named ILM, but being a Lucas production, I assume he pulled in his crew, his sci-fi crew, or his
his effects.
Special effects.
Yeah,
special. That's the word I was looking for. Let's see. I mean, I'm not recognizing any of those names from ILM.
Oh, here we go. Visual effects. ILM
Yeah,
unit.
Yep.
Okay.
ILM unit. Yeah. So I mean, being a Lucas, of course. Yeah.
There's so many people here.
Oh yeah.
We got a stunt duck.
Well,
Margarita Farrell.
why would we not have a stunt duck?
I was hoping she'd have a picture. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, it felt in line with sort of the ILM quality of work, I suppose.
Which is interesting because if we think back to the Ewok movies, now granted those were TV movies,
Right.
they probably would have been about the same time, and they didn't have the same. They obviously didn't have the same budget, I'm sure. But I think I remember some stop motion on there where we had a little bit of fun with that, which was that's
Oh yeah, there we go.
Or,
There was that.
So I mean, now granted, again, that's TV series budget or whatever, TV made for movie budget, but they definitely pulled out the stops. And again, that's 37 million. That's what it gets you in 86, I guess.
So did they this is going to sound rude. Did they expect it to do well?
Well, according to the trivia, which a lot of that trivia comes from interviews and stuff. I mean, Lucas said that Lucas thought that it was going to do well enough to pay for whatever he was doing in Skywalker Ranch. So, I mean, they expected it. And obviously, nobody makes a movie expecting to lose.
Sure.
But I think that that's what they wanted. So
Definitely nobody makes a movie expecting to lose this bad.
Not this bad, yeah. Now, I will say the budget said $37 million. If you go to, what is that, Box Office Mojo, I think it actually made $36 million or something like that.
Just short.
I don't know what the range is for Box Office Mojo. There you go. Gross worldwide was $37 million.
Oh, just about over.
Right.
I wonder how much they spent on marketing them.
Yeah, that's true. They did have to spend some money there, so.
Yeah, this was this was a wild movie.
Well, I mean, it's a 4.7 on IMDb compared to our Willow rating of 7.2 or whatever. So
Yeah, you could definitely feel the difference.
Incidentally, another Lucas. There you go.
Oh, we're tying it all together. I noticed that the Metacritic score for this is 28. Now, granted, it's a comedy and those never score very high on those. But I think it's it should be a little higher than that.
When you're watching this for what it is, not for a critically acclaimed film.
Yeah, so definitely not.
Yeah, it's definitely, and it is interesting in one of the trailer or trivias or whatever. So I listened to, I've mentioned it before on our show, that Now Playing podcast. Arnie Carvalho is one of the hosts, and it actually says in the IMDb trivia that he has the largest Howard the Duck collection, including one of the animatronic heads.
Oh, really?
Which would be a cool thing to have in your collection. But it's like, I mean, it's obviously got a following, a cult following that has kept it around a little bit. It's interesting how some of these things can hit,
Yeah, no, it definitely definitely struck on a chord because it's one of those things that again I hear about in psych.
Yes,
I've heard much about.
Well, I'm sure. Well, it was in the '80s, so they had to pull it into psych at some point.
Yeah, for sure.
I wouldn't be surprised if Bob Gale, the little guy, was probably in the background, or Ed Gale. Sorry, not Bob. Ed Gale.
Bob Gale.
Bob Gale.
It was not a duck for certain. Yeah, no, that's a good point. I'm sure he's in there somewhere. I don't know where.
They always have some connection that we don't know.
Yeah.
Probably more that they know than we do.
Yeah. Well, we got Brian Cox. He's in there at one point.
Yes.
Is that his name? No, Brian Cox is the guy from Succession.
Brian Cox is Stryker from X-Men. He made Wolverine.
Yeah, no, definitely a different guy. What's his name? Oh, geez.
Jeffrey Jones?
Tony Cox.
Tony Cox, yes.
Tony Cox.
Okay, now I know.
Yeah, it's a very different person from Brian Cox.
Definitely.
Very few things to
I don't think there's a lot of crossover there, but
could you imagine though a crossover between Bad Santa and Succession?
That's right. Yeah, it might fly.
I'm sure it would be wonderfully well written. There'd be some great imagery with water or whatever. The director for this,
yes,
a guy who I've never heard of,
And you probably will never hear from again.
Yeah, he's got like nothing to his name.
It even says in the trivia that he had 2 bombs, this one and the one before it, and this one is the one that made it so he's never been a director since. It killed his directing career. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, we're looking here. We got a 6.3, a 5.8, a 3.8, and a 4.7.
Yeah. And the ratings and stuff like that isn't even the thing. It all comes down to finance. And I know that I think it was this one here. You know what? I think I may actually recognize this from somewhere.
With Eddie Murphy.
Yeah. And, who's the gentleman's name?
Dudley Moore.
Dudley Moore. Man, I'm not on my name game today. Oh, it's got Kate Capshaw in it. It's got all the names.
Who's Kate Capshaw?
She's Willie from Temple of Doom.
Oh.
And Spielberg's wife.
Oh, really?
For a while, yes.
That's weird.
That's why she was in Temple of Doom.
But yeah, Temple of Doom. The guy wrote Temple of Doom, which is kind of weird, or at least was one of the writers.
Well, and I think that's a Lucasfilm thing, right? I mean, you probably pulled him in from Lucas. And when was that? When was Temple of Doom now? You're gonna
84.
84, yeah.
So 2 years before this. Temple of Doom is definitely a much stronger movie than Howard the Duck.
Cats too. I think she's listed as a writer on both of them as well. So.
Yeah, they work a lot together.
Yeah.
According to the filmography or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
What am I doing?
Which I know that sometimes you get in there and you get the comic book creator is a writer, and I don't know if he actually wrote anything or if they're just doing that because he contributed enough to the story because it was based off of his story.
Right, yeah, just a credit there. But they also work together for American Graffiti.
There you go. I mean, George has his team. But it's interesting. I mean, yeah, writer 13 credits there, but going from American Graffiti in 73 up to Howard the Duck.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a downgrade. But it's weird. So we've got like these 2 people who work together on Temple of Doom, which is obviously not the best Indiana Jones movie, but still pretty good.
Right.
And then American Graffiti, which is one of the movies that went over so well. It's one of the reasons Star Wars got made because it made so much money. And then we have Howard the Duck, which lost him all the money he made from Star Wars.
Again, I think, maybe that's how he saved on the budget, just pulling in his friends. I don't know. Or maybe he just had his friends he wanted to give him a job because they weren't writing anything else.
they couldn't find anything anywhere. Yeah, no, that's fair.
You do see that a lot. I mean, we talked about it with Alien, right?
Yeah.
And the writer for Alien was working with on Jodorowsky's Dune, and he met the other writer who had the rights for Blade Runner, and then they work together for Blade Runner, and stuff like that. I think you see that more often than not, and I'm noticing that more now that we're starting to pay more attention to this kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of intermingling.
Definitely in that time, you got a lot of the incest. Everybody's working with everybody.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we talk about it on our many John Carpenter episodes. There's always a bunch of holdovers from other stuff.
Yep.
So another random connection. We always talk about the cinematography here.
Yes.
There was literally nothing in this movie that I really enjoyed.
I don't know. The lighting on the duck was pretty good.
It was great. What would have been funny is if they had kept the same, and they would never do this, but if you'd kept like the same like slapstick comedy, but had done some shots of Howard where it again feels like that sort of gritty noir, like the sharp contrast, the chiaroscuro.
Right.
Like that would have been really fun.
I am interested if they could do that with the modern Howard the Duck, right?
Yeah, I mean, he sort of reminds me of Sam Spade from the Maltese Falcon, a fast-talking guy who just sort of, doesn't really care about anything else.
I think they could run with it. They definitely could. I mean, he was a copy advertising guy or something, but instead he could be a private investigator. We could do the little duck thing.
I forgot he was an ad man. What was the slogan he came up with?
Oh, it's something about
the only thing that touches my feathers is oil of nightshade and him.
Or something and him. Yeah, that's
yeah, that was great. The delivery was good there too.
It worked.
Yeah, that was fun. But so the cinematographer, not necessarily related to things that we've discussed here, but just a lot of random connections to movies that are actually pretty good.
King Kong?
Yes, the 70?
Oh, okay, that's the one that I told you we got to watch.
Yeah, with Jeff Bridges.
Yeah.
Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
Okay.
Obviously the best of the original movies.
Betcha. Well, at least the best lit one.
Battle for the Planet of the Apes, the final Apes movie. The worst one.
That's a classic.
The worst one. Soylent Green.
Well, see, there you go. Battle for the Planet of the Apes. He knew how to shoot people in suits.
Yes. Yeah, he knew what was up. Knew how to get the lighting down. And then the Andromeda Strain, which is another good one that I've wanted to watch for quite a long time.
Definitely been in the business a while.
Yeah, and then there's one other really random one, which isn't going to matter because I just watched the movie 2 days ago, but it's just so coincidental I have to mention it. So he was a camera operator on I think it was 1954 movie Nightfall.
Okay.
Which is the movie that I was watching that I texted you about, has the connection to Secret of NIMH.
Well, there you
So
go.
we're tying it in multiple ways.
All over the place.
Yeah,
Yes.
uncredited camera operator.
Now I'm curious how a 1956 movie has a connection to Secret of NIMH.
You'll just have to wait and see
right,
then,
we'll
won't
see.
you? But he's also another one that I enjoy. He's assistant camera on The Harder They Fall,
Okay.
which
It looks like he started as a camera operator in the 50s and moved his way up into cinematography.
yeah, definitely. But I just like that because it's Humphrey Bogart's last movie, and that's one of my favorite. Humphrey Bogart's one of my favorite actors of all time. He's so good. Speaking of the Maltese Falcon, I guess. See, we've got connections
That's right.
all
We
over.
are all over the place.
The Maltese duck, you might say.
I'm sure that was one of the posters at that. Yes.
Oh, I didn't even look for that. I should have been paying attention.
I'm sure it's there. There's something there.
Oh, that would have been smart. If they didn't, that is such a missed opportunity.
Well, but see, that's the thing. Speaking of Howard the Duck, in our world, it's a falcon. It's not a little person. So you wouldn't have a
That's true. That's a good point.
I'm running with it.
That's a good point. Sorry, I don't know why I just remembered this, but when they are getting in the plane, the line where Howard is like, we've got a saying back home. If God intended us to fly, he wouldn't have taken away our wings.
Taking away the wigs, yep.
That's such a good one.
That's the thing, is it's stuff like that that's fun. Of course, our line, if God intended us to fly, he would have gave us wings. But it's just kind of fun, all the little stuff they had in there and all the one-liners. And I was going to remember some and I completely forgot them, but they all hit, pretty fun.
Yeah.
Pretty decently. And like I say, I think that's why when you're watching this, you're watching it for that kind of stuff, which again makes me think of a Robin Williams, even though as we discussed, he's not going to fly. But I don't know. It made it fun.
It definitely did. And Tim Robbins had some pretty good ones too. I mean, this isn't like a one-liner, but the scene after the show where Howard's back in the dressing room and Tim Robbins runs in and is like, I was talking with some guys. Yes.
So what was it? The guy who said the Aztecs came from Mars or something like that, and he's using him as a reference. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was a good one. And he said that you must have been part of some duck species that was trapped in the ice for 10,000 years.
But then I was way off base.
I knew I was wrong. I knew I was wrong. No, that was a good one. But the one that I was thinking of, the one-liner, is where it's towards the end, and Howard's trying to get this massive, what do they call it, a neutron destabilizer or something like that. He's trying to get the car to run, and he's like, it still won't work.
Yes.
And Tim Robbins is just like, try the seatbelt, Howard.
Which the thing, he hit the button and it took off.
Yeah.
Without the seatbelt on, so I was a little confused by that one. But
There's a bit of an internal continuity error here. There's some issues with this film. Oh man, no, but I mean, it was definitely fun. It was
fun. I would give it. I mean, if we're comparing this to Willow, I'd give it more than a 4.2.
Yeah,
Willow's a 7. Yeah,
I would say. I mean, on my personal IMDb, I gave it 5 stars. It was definitely fun. It's one of those movies that is fun just in how bad it is, but it's not bad in like it's poorly made. It's like a decently made film.
It's one of those, like I said, when you're watching it, you should know what you're watching.
Yeah.
Right? You're not watching a Marvel movie. You're not watching a noir. You're not watching anything that's critically acclaimed. What you're doing is just watching a guy in a suit crack one-liners, and just seeing it.
Yeah.
It's not. And again, this is one that like I say, we stick to the story of our theme here. And I watched it a bunch as a kid. I haven't watched it a bunch since then.
Really?
But it was fun to go back and revisit and watch it again.
Yeah.
Just because it is what it is, and it's a product of the time. And like I say, if we compare this to other movies around that time, special effects wise, it isn't that bad.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's kind of
sure. Well, and yeah, I mean, yeah, even the effects outside of, like the stop motion animation that we talked about, the effects with, what's his name? Jeffrey Jones, when he starts to fully become the Dark Overlord or whatever. I mean, the effects there, it's 80s.
Yeah.
But they're good. They're fun.
They're adequate. They're definitely adequate. And yeah, and I don't think that it was like they went back and remastered or something, because I noticed when I popped it onto Amazon Prime, which is where I watched it, they actually had the FBI thing pop up at the very beginning, like so I feel like their transfer must have come directly from an old copy.
Yeah. Well, who's going to spend money to remaster this?
I know. That's what I wondered. Is like, well, Lucas has money.
That's a very good point.
So who knows? But then again, this probably went to Marvel, which I'm surprised it's not on Disney. But
yeah, it makes sense. Well, they got
to Disney when they bought Lucasfilm. I don't know. It was never. I didn't notice it in the contract when they made sure to point out they bought Indiana Jones and Star Wars, but they didn't really point out whether they bought Howard the Duck or not. But
that's a good point. Do you think it would be Universal who has the rights then? Or do you think Disney was just like, we're not going to put that on here?
I'm not sure. I think there might have been something in the trivia about when they did put him into the Guardians movie. They had some rights. Well, I know if you go to the comic book that Steve Gerber, I looked on his Wikipedia or whatever, and there was actually a section there where when Marvel, in the 80s or whatever, Marvel was trying to sell off the rights and he sued them. There you go, Battle for Howard the Duck, 78.
Oh, yeah.
Marvel, of course, being Marvel, was trying to sell off whatever they could for film and broadcast media, it says, and he filed a copyright infringement lawsuit. And then we jump ahead down to the resolution in 81, and it says, nope, they got it. It was all done as part, he just admitted that it was all thing. Now, I assume there was some money, a little bit of payoff there.
Sure.
A settlement or something like that, or they had something on him. Who knows? It was the 70s, so... But that is interesting. The lawsuit was settled, and he just admitted, no, it's work for hire. So
yeah, wow. No, they should put it on Disney. I mean, they got Deadpool now. They could put Howard the Duck.
They could. Did he pop into What If? I think he's in a What If.
You might be right,
because when you click on the Steve Gerber on the IMDb, and then it shows character created by as one of his listings, it pops up in the What If. So I'm sure he has to be credited as the creator for Howard the Duck and everything and stuff. So
no, it looks like we got something here. I wonder if it'll tell me. It must have been in, I suppose, season 2.
I think he actually have you watched Guardians 3 yet?
I haven't, no,
because they're on Nowhere for part of it. I wonder if he's actually it's been a while since I watched it. He might have showed up there. There's a big battle on the Nowhere planet or whatever. And I think a lot of those guys, those side characters are in it, like Cosmo the dog,
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen the first, half of it or so.
So he might show up in there a little bit.
Yeah, well, because he makes 2 appearances so there's one where he shows up and he's just in the cage, and that's, either the first or second.
The post-credit scenes of the first one, right?
And then he shows up in, I think, Infinity War, Infinity War, when they go to Nowhere to kill Thanos, and it looks all destroyed or whatever, and then it melds away. Or no, it's normal.
The Reality Stone?
Yeah, so it's when Gamora stabs him, and Benicio del Toro starts clapping.
Right.
And then it slowly melts away. I think there's a scene where Howard the Duck is just, kicking his legs.
He's in there, yeah.
I think so.
And I'm wondering... For some reason, I thought I heard this, and maybe I'm just imagining it. Does he show up at the Avengers Assemble moment of?
Well, it's according.
Okay. Oh yeah, he is in there. Yeah.
Is that the Neutron? It kind of looks like it. Hang on.
Oh, did he get? Is it the same gun?
Yeah. Let me see if I can. Where are the pictures in this thing?
Well, it showed it on the.
Oh, whoa! Is that from Number 3?
Yeah, that's Guardians 3 because he's playing poker. I remember they're playing poker with the dog, and he calls him a bad dog.
Oh, yeah, I do not like the way this duck looks. He looked good in
He looks more serious, that's for sure.
Yeah. Where is this picture at? Here we go. Yeah, there he is. I can't close this camera.
Oh, he doesn't have... Is he carrying a weapon? He's got to have something there.
He's got a gun. It's... I don't think it is.
Same one from the movie?
It kind of looks like it should be, though. If it's not, that's such a missed opportunity. Oh, man. But, he looks so silly sitting there. That's awesome.
Well, they didn't have the $2 million for his suit. Guardians 3, the $2 million went other places.
Speaking of his suit, though, I do actually like the suit, the sort of textured, vaguely.
He's got the look.
He's definitely got style. He looks so preposterous. I hope they bring him in full. So any final thoughts on Howard the Duck?
I don't think so. I'd recommend a viewing if you need something to do someday.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely fun. It's worth a watch. It's worth a watch.
I don't know when we're publishing this one, but I think on September 8th is actually the anniversary of when he's dragged to Earth, according to the movie. I think they actually said September 8th.
Oh,
yeah, it's right there.
So yes, this will be the week after.
Yeah.
So last week you just missed Howard's.
You probably were celebrating it.
His Earth Day.
Yes, yeah.
What would you call it?
Howard's coming of Earth. I don't know.
Coming of Earth. Coming of Duck.
That's right.
We didn't even talk about the scene of how he got brought here from Earth. Just sucked
through all the walls for some reason.
Yeah.
Which it's interesting that it's targeting specifically him. I don't know. I guess it was just a plot device, but
pretty interesting.
Because in order to suck him through those walls, that meant that it was shooting into those walls directly at him.
Yeah. No, that's a very good point. They were honed onto his... Do ducks have pheromones? No, that's bugs.
I don't know.
So I've been playing
There's
a lot
so many other ducks in between him because we see them all as he's flying through, including, the two old ducks in the bed, and then the lady in the bath, the lady duck. Yeah, I mean, so we're seeing people in between him.
Yeah,
the tractor beam thing.
There's a terrible continuity errors all throughout the movie.
I don't know if I can watch this movie ever again.
One final thing, I guess, I just thought of this. Well, I thought about it earlier, but then I forgot about it again. I wish they had come back to the sort of like PTSD side of this more than just the once. They got the scene where the truck goes by and he's sitting in the chair. And he's like, "Oh no, not again!"
Shaking. They definitely and the I feel like they spent some money on that animatronic look and didn't use it much more. So.
Yeah, I wish they had. But yeah, so as Dad mentioned, it's available on Prime. Unfortunately, not Disney, but we will be starting a petition to move it over to Disney Plus any day now. So we'll be set.
It'll go over there as soon as I don't think the Blade movies are on Disney Plus yet either, are they?
I think you're right. I think they're on Max.
Okay.
Which is a weird one.
There's probably it's that licensing thing we're selling,
Which is another one, Wesley Snipes in Deadpool and Wolverine. Come on, bring over the rest of the movies.
Have you seen it yet?
No.
He's got a meta line that doesn't break anything. There is only and there always will be only one Blade. He's in the movie. So.
Well, I remember.
I'm sure you caught that, but
yeah. Well, I didn't see that scene, but that's funny. When I don't know, one of the millions of rounds of reshoots and delays for the Blade movie, Snipes put out a tweet and he was like, "It ain't easy being a daywalker," or something like that. But yes,
pay your taxes and shut up. Nope, that's inappropriate.
I forgot about that. That was funny. And I was gonna say something else about Wesley Snipes, but I couldn't think of it. In any case. We're going to call it there. Go ahead and watch the movie. Subject yourself to some duck torture. It was enjoyable, to say the least. Some ducture. And we will be back here in a couple weeks for... We didn't find Secret of Nim anywhere, did we?
I think it's on one of the. It's like on Roku channel or something.
Oh, okay.
We may have to pull that one out next. So.
Mayhaps for Secret of Nim. In any case,
the socials.
Yes, subscribe. No, not subscribe. It's a social. Follow at New Wave Nerds, and we will see you guys in 2 weeks.